The frustration I'd been holding inside for weeks finally burst. I admitted everything. The late nights, the hidden phone, the mysterious messages, the hotel, the woman, even following him. When I finished, silence filled the room. Daniel didn't look angry. He looked heartbroken. He slowly sat down and covered his face with his hands. After a long pause, he whispered, "I wanted this to be a surprise." Confused, I stared at him. He walked into the spare bedroom and returned carrying a large folder. Inside were sketches, contracts, receipts, emails. For months, he'd been secretly working with an interior designer, the woman I'd seen, to renovate the small building next to my favorite cafe. He had purchased it months earlier, not as an investment, but to build something for me. For years, I'd talked about opening a community art studio where local children and adults could learn painting together. I always dismissed the idea as impossible. Daniel hadn't. The late nights were meetings with contractors. The messages were from architects and suppliers. The conference had actually been the final meeting with investors helping him complete the project. The gift bag? It held paint samples and keys. Not for another woman. For me. I couldn't speak. Tears rolled down my face before I even realized I was crying. I had spent weeks believing the worst about someone who had quietly spent months trying to make one of my biggest dreams come true. Daniel reached for my hand. "I wasn't hiding another life," he said softly. "I was building one with you." That sentence broke me. Not because I was hurt. Because I realized how easily fear can replace trust when we allow assumptions to speak louder than honest conversations. A week later, he finally showed me the finished studio. Above the entrance hung a simple wooden sign with my name. I cried before we even stepped inside. Looking back, I still wish I'd asked more questions instead of creating answers in my own mind. Sometimes the stories we tell ourselves become far more convincing than reality. And sometimes, the person you fear is pulling away is actually working quietly to bring your dreams closer than ever before. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have confronted him sooner? Or would your imagination have taken over too? Let me know in the comments. The morning he left, I stood at the window watching his car disappear around the corner. For nearly an hour, I tried convincing myself I was overreacting. I cleaned the house, folded laundry, made coffee I never actually drank, but every quiet moment brought the same question back. What if I'm being lied to? Around lunchtime, curiosity finally defeated trust. I opened our shared family calendar, hoping to see details about the conference. Nothing. No hotel reservation, no event, no reminder. Just an empty weekend. That was the moment panic truly took over. My heart raced as dozens of terrible possibilities filled my mind. Had he deleted the information? Was the trip fake? Was there someone else? I told myself I wasn't trying to invade his privacy. I just wanted peace of mind. Instead, every answer I searched for seemed to create two new questions. By sunset, I had convinced myself that the marriage I'd spent years building was quietly falling apart. I had no idea that the truth waiting for me was something I never would have guessed. And by the time I discovered it, I would regret every assumption I'd made. The next morning, I couldn't focus on anything. Every time my phone buzzed, I hoped it would be Daniel calling. At the same time, I was afraid he would. I didn't know what I would say if he asked why I sounded so distant. By early afternoon, I made a decision I never imagined I would make. I drove toward the hotel listed on the conference website, the one I eventually found after searching online. I told myself I only wanted reassurance. If he was really there, I'd quietly leave and never mention it. If he wasn't, I didn't let myself finish that thought. When I arrived, the hotel lobby was busy with people checking in and out. I sat in my car for several minutes, trying to convince myself to go home. Instead, I walked inside. I scanned every face, business travelers, families, tourists, but no Daniel. My heart sank. Then, just as I turned toward the exit, I saw him. He had just walked through the front doors carrying a small gift bag. He wasn't alone. Standing beside him was a woman I'd never seen before. She smiled at something he said. He smiled back. That single moment shattered every ounce of confidence I had left. I didn't walk over. I didn't call his name. I simply turned around and left before either of them noticed me. The drive home felt endless. I replayed that image again and again. The gift bag, the smile, the conversation. To me, it all meant only one thing. That evening, Daniel called to check in. I answered, pretending everything was normal. He asked how my day had been. Fine, I lied. He told me he missed me. I almost laughed. Instead, I quietly said, me too. The following afternoon, Daniel returned home. He looked exhausted, but genuinely happy to see me. I wanted answers immediately. Instead, I asked one simple question. How was the conference? He smiled. It went well. That answer was enough. Have you ever been completely convinced someone you loved was hiding something, only to discover the truth was nothing like you imagined? I never thought I'd become the kind of person who secretly checked my husband's schedule, watched the clock every evening, or wondered who he was texting after midnight. But once doubt takes hold, Every small detail starts to look like proof. And that's exactly how my story began. For nearly 8 years, my husband Daniel had been the most predictable person I knew. He left for work at the same time every morning, called during lunch whenever he could, and was usually home before dinner. Then, almost overnight, everything changed. It started with little things. He began working later than usual. At first, it was once or twice a week. Then it became almost every night. When I asked about it, he'd smile and say, "Just a busy season." It sounded reasonable. After all, everyone gets overwhelmed at work sometimes. But then I noticed he had started taking his phone everywhere, even into the kitchen, even when taking out the trash, even when we watched television together. His phone never left his side. One evening, it buzzed while he was in the shower. The screen lit up with a notification. The message preview didn't show much, just one sentence. "See you tomorrow. Thanks again." No name, no explanation, just those 5 words. When he came back, he picked up the phone almost immediately, read the message, and quietly locked the screen. He didn't mention it. Neither did I, but something had shifted inside me. Over the following weeks, my imagination worked harder than reality ever had. Every late meeting became suspicious. Every canceled dinner felt personal. Every smile at his phone made me wonder if someone else was making him happier than I could. I hated feeling that way. Daniel had never given me a real reason to distrust him. But fear doesn't always wait for evidence, it creates its own. I found myself replaying conversations in my head, searching for hidden meanings that probably weren't there. Friends noticed I seemed distracted. I blamed work. The truth felt too embarrassing to admit. One Friday evening, Daniel told me he'd need to travel for a conference the following weekend. Only one night. It came up unexpectedly, he explained. He looked tired, almost nervous. Instead of reassuring me, that nervousness made everything worse. I smiled and wished him luck. Inside, my stomach twisted into knots.